Deliver, to bring or transport to a proper place or recipient. Exodus 3:8. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hands of the Egyptians, and bring them up out of the land unto a good land and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto a place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hittites, and the Jebusites. Hey everybody, welcome back. Once again, it's your girl Jasmine. So I'm very excited about the lesson today. And so basically, like what happened to me this morning is my mother called and she said that she was going on a trip, and basically she had never been to her destination before, and so she said, I have not been this way before, but I am going. And so it hit my spirit so strong this morning, because I was like, wow, like, that's like in life, like we all get to a place and a point in life where we have not been that way before, but we are still going to go. We're still going to move in faith, and we're still going to travel down this new road, this new destination, which it is that God has brought us in our life. You think about Abraham when God first told him in Genesis 12, he said for him to get out of the country to a land that he was going to show him. Abraham had never seen that place before in his life. The place in which God showed him was the promised land, but yet he was still going to go. He had not been that way before. It required walking in faith, but yet he was still going to go. And there's going to be times in our life where we are all going to have a place in our life where we have not been that way before. It requires faith. It requires following God. It requires taking that step forward to move forward to where it is that God wants to bring you. But you have to be walking in faith to get to that place in which it is that God wants to deliver you to. And so, you think about, like, because this morning I actually had a dream about, like, I had, like, this wig that I bought, like, a few months ago or whatever, and I wanted to order a new one, and when, of course, I'm going to order it online, and it will be delivered to its proper place, it would be delivered to my house, and so basically when you think about, when God, brings you to a new place in your life where, you have not been that way before, but it requires you to go in faith and follow God, you're still going to go, but you're going to be delivered to your proper place. You're going to go to my package would be delivered to the proper place where it belongs, and so, you think about that's why I put the word delivered in Exodus 3:8, because God had a proper place for the children of Israel to go, to be delivered to, and though they had never been there before, they were still going to go. So we're going to kind of look in Exodus 14 and also in Joshua chapters 3 some, and so yeah, so stay tuned for the lesson. I'm so excited. All right, you guys, God bless. Peace. Okay, everybody, so I'm going to kind of start in Joshua 3, and we're kind of look at verses 1 through 4. So basically, the Bible says, and Joshua rose up early in the morning, and they removed from Shittim and came to the Jordan. He and all the children of Israel lodged there before they passed over. And it came to pass after 3 days that the officers went through the host, and they commanded the people, saying, when ye see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests and the Levites bearing it, then ye shall remove from your place and go after it. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, about 2,000 cubits by measure. Come not near unto it, that ye may know the way by which ye must go, for ye have not passed this way there heretofore. So basically how the whole lesson would start off is because we were talking about, I have not been this place before, but I am going. Here we see the children of Israel about to cross over the Jordan and enter into the promised land, enter into the place in which it was that God had told Moses that they would enter into, back there in Exodus chapter 3 verse 8. He said he was going to take them into a place flowing with milk and honey. And so because of that, now the children of Israel were sitting by the Jordan. But they had to wait for some type of instructions. Why? Because they had not been that way before. But what? They were still going to go. So they had to make sure that they followed God's instructions. They had to make sure that they it says right here, it says, and they commanded the people, saying, when ye shall see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests of the Levites bearing it, then ye shall remove from your place and go after it. They were to follow the presence of the Lord and go after it when he moved, so that they could move to the next place in their life. There comes a time where we are going to have to wait on God, and follow his instructions. One of the things my mother said was, okay, I'm going to bring my GPS and listen to my GPS, to follow my GPS and which way my GPS is going to take me. Why? Because in order for her to get to her destination, she's going to have to listen to her GPS to get to the next place and where it is that she is going to go. You think about anybody who is being, like I said, I was going to order a package. If they were to deliver it to me, at some point they're going to have to follow some type of direction to get to my house so that my package could get to the right place in which it is supposed to be. My mother has a destination where she's going. In order to get to the destination she's going, she's going to have to listen to her GPS to get to that destination. And so, in order to, you have not been this way before, but if you're going to go, then you're going to have to listen to God to get you to point A to point B and where it is that you're going in your life. So I'm going to have you guys turn over to Exodus chapter 14, and we're going to kind of look at verse 13. It says, and Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord. They were being delivered, the salvation. When you're being, delivered, like you think about being saved from somewhere, you're being delivered. You think about when God saves you, you're being delivered from your sin. You're being saved from your sin. You're being taken from one place of your life to another place in your life. You're no longer in one place of your life in which you once were. You're going into a new place in your life. And so they were being transferred to another place. See the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall not see them again no more forever. No more forever. And so this was really big when I was reading this, because when God is taking you to new places in your life, the places that you once saw will not be the same places in which you see when you are moving forward. Like I said, my mother is going on a trip, right? And when she goes on her trip, she's never been there before. So she's used to a certain area and place in her life where she, is sitting there in her destination. She's used to the place where she lives. But when she goes and travels on her journey, the area where that she looks around her is not going to be the same as it once was. The children of Israel were so used to seeing the Egyptians, they were so used to seeing the Egyptians in life, that when they were gonna move forward, they weren't gonna see the Egyptians no more. Why? Because they were gonna be in a new place in your life. And that's what's gonna happen when God brings you to a new place in your life. Sometimes it's gonna be uncomfortable. Why? Because the area and the surroundings around you where you're moving forward to are not going to be the same as they once were when you're moving forward. They're not gonna look familiar. They're going to be different. It's gonna be a new scenery. You think about maybe you can move to a new location. Maybe, like I know that I'm going to move to Florida. And the trees up in Massachusetts are different from the trees in Florida. The surrounding is going to be different. There are going to be new things, like the weather up here, the way it changes. It snows, versus Florida. I went to Florida during Christmas time, and there was no snow, and I had left Massachusetts and it was snowing. So there comes a point when you're moving forward, it says, for the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. So there's going to be places in life, that when God moves you forward into the place and delivers you to the place in which it is that he's going to bring you, there's going to be things around you that you once saw that you will no more see forevermore, because it will be a new place in your life, and you have not been this way before, but you're still going to go. But when you go, you're not going to see certain things in which you once saw. So I'm going to put up the first few questions and then we're going to carry on. Are you guys? Are you at a place in your life that you have not been to where you're heading, but you're still going? What new scenery do you think you will see as you move forward? New things, new experiences? All right, so we all know that, when we are moving forward and we're in a place where we don't know the area at all in our life, sometimes it can leave us a little bit uncomfortable. I know that for me, it takes a little while to get me warmed up if I'm in a new place, a new area, because I have to get used to my surroundings because I've never been there before. So we're all going to have, when we move forward, when we go to a new place, and that's, we have to kind of get warmed up to our environment, like, because we're so used to certain roads in our life. I think about my life, and as I get so used to certain roads in my life, and I know how to get around in Massachusetts versus in Florida. I've never lived there before, and so because I've never lived there before, I wouldn't know the environment, and so you're gonna have, even though you move forward, you're gonna have to basically kind of get yourself used to where it is that you're going, and that can happen in life, but that shouldn't deter you from moving forward just because you don't know your surrounding areas. It should make you want to learn and study the area in which it is that you're going, because God is moving you forward to this new place. The other day I was in the car with my grandmother and my aunt, and I just thought about in life, how life goes on, and we move forward, and we get older, and we go through different changes in our life. We go through different stages in our life, and I've never been at this stage in my life before. Here I am, being 23 years old. I've never been in this stage in my life, but yet, I'm getting warmed up to, enjoying this stage of my life, because I've been a child, and I've been in these certain places, but being the adult, and wanting to have a family, and wanting to grow older, and get married, and do certain things in which it is that people do in life. Those are new stages. I've never been there before in life, but I have to make sure that I get my feet wet and get comfortable, because this is the place where I am now in my life, and it's a new surrounding, a new area, but as I go forward, the more I go forward, the more easier it will be, but we have to continue moving forward in faith, because there is no really going backward, unless you want to stay stuck for the rest of your life in the wilderness, or in a continual stuck cycle, and so we're going to kind of look more, and it says, verse 14 of Exodus chapter 14, and the Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. That they go forward. So basically, the Lord spoke to Moses, directly to him, that he was to direct the children of Israel that they should move forward. If you have never been someplace in your life, but you're going to go anyways, the next thing you need to know is that you need to continue to go forward. There is no going backwards. If my mother wants to get to her destination, in which it is that she needs to get to, in which it is that she needs to go as she goes on her journey, as she goes on her trip, she's going to have to keep moving forward. And she will never arrive to her destination if she goes backwards. She has to move forward. She has to go forward. If we are going to get to our destination, in which it is that God is trying to bring us, in which God is going to allow us to go to, deliver us into, we are going to have to move forward. There is no moving backwards. There is only moving forward. And, even though it's a place of, going in faith, God is directing you. It said, the Lord said to Moses, wherefore criest unto me? Speak to the children of Israel, that they may go forward. Why? God was going to direct them to the place in which it was that they were going. Just like I said earlier, her GPS is going to direct her into the place she's going. So verse 16 says, but lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thy hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. So like I said, the GPS will direct you. God is directing them right now, in which is where they're going. He said, but lift up thy rod. So Moses was to do as God instructed, to lift up his rod in his hand, and the sea was going to divide. And then after it was going to divide, the next instruction in which they were going to follow was that the children of Israel were going to go on the dry ground through the midst of the sea, meaning their instructions were that he was going to lift up the rod, he was going to, the sea was going to part, and then they were going to go through on dry ground, and they were going to move forward, and they were going to walk on the dry ground, heading towards the place in which it is that God was going to direct them to. So if we skip over to verse 21, we'll see that once you get your direction, just like a GPS, once you get your directions, you listen to what the GPS says. If the GPS says, hey, turn left, you turn left. And so that's exactly what Moses was doing. In verse 21, it says, and Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. They were divided. And it says, and the children of Israel went in the midst of the sea upon dry ground, and upon the sea upon dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their left and on their right. So one thing that we'll notice here is that Moses had never parted the sea before. He had never been to this place in his life before. Yeah, maybe he stuck his rod into the Nile River and the Nile turned into blood, but he had never sat there and parted a whole sea and walked on the dry ground in the midst of a dry sea. He had never been that way before, but he was going anyways. And so that's what he did. He did what the Lord had said. He stretched out his hand over the sea parted, and to his left and to his right, there was now a wall of sea. And so basically, if we're going to follow God in faith, we know that, when a GPS tells you, hey, turn left, and it tells you follow the road to whatever, that is your direction. That is the wall that you are following through. That is the basically, hey, this is the way that you're going. They had a wall on the side. They couldn't go this way. They had a wall on this side. They couldn't go that way. They were to go straight. They were to follow that direction. Their direction was to go straight to get to the other side, the light to the other side. They were to follow that direction to get to the place, to get to the destination. They knew they couldn't go this way. They knew they couldn't go that way. All they knew is they had to go straight through dry land to get to the other side, in which it was that God was directing them to. That's why it said that there were, a wall unto them onto their right hand and a wall unto them onto their left hand. And so that's what we are going to have. Are you being directed forward in your life or going backwards? Has the Lord made it very clear to where it is that you are going so you don't get lost on the way to your destination? All right, so like I said before, in order for us to move forward, we have to move forward in faith. And so here we are. We're going to kind of look at Joshua 3, and in order to get to our destination, we have to leave, we have to move forward, we have to go. And so it says in verse 14 of Joshua 3, it says, and it came to pass when the people removed from their tents to pass over the Jordan, they removed from the place in which they were. You have to remove from the place where you are to get to your destination. You don't get there by just sitting where you are, but you have to remove from that place. You have to want to step out and go in faith. You've never been there before, but you're going. That means you have to be removed from the place where you are. That's what the children of Israel did. They removed from that place. If you've never been there before, but you're going, that means you have to remove from where you are. If you're really going, you're removing from where you are to go to the next place in your life. I think about in my life, there are places now that I have gotten that weight that I used to carry off of my life. I want to go to those places, but I have to remove from where I am. I have to take a leap of faith. I have to take a step of faith to want to move forward, to have those things in my life. If I stay where I am in my life, then I'll never move forward. Like I said, there's things that I really want for my life. I want to, be able to have my own family one day and stuff like that. But if I don't, act in faith and step out on faith and do those things to move forward in my life, will I ever have them in my life? No. I will stay in the same place, and I'll stay stuck in the same place, And I was so excited this morning about moving forward. I have these fish called my wilderness fish, Joshua and Caleb, because they are the only two that made it out of the promised land. And I told them this morning, we're moving out of the wilderness and we're going to the promised land. We're not going to be stuck anymore, you guys. And just knowing that I'm not stuck in that place anymore because I want to remove myself from where I am. I have not been this way before in my life, but I'm going. And so that's the mentality that we have to have. And so it says, "And it came to pass when the people removed from their tents to pass over the Jordan, the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people. And as they that bear the ark were come unto the Jordan, the feet of the priests that bear the ark were dipped in the brim of the water." So here we see there are going to be other people around us in our life who are going to be going to new places in our life that they have never been as well. I think about my mother as she's going on her trip. She's going on her journey. She's bringing my brothers and sisters with her. They have they have never been to that place either, but they are going to a new place in your life. So if you have other people around you in your life in which it is that, maybe you have children, or maybe, you have, other things in your life, they may have never been to that same place either, but they're going, they're moving forward as well. They're doing new things, they're experiencing new things. Why? Because you're going to a new place in your life. I think about my aunt. She just moved back from the Dominican Republic. My little cousin has never lived in the States, in the United States before, but yet when his mother moved here, he also moved here also. So he had never been here before, but he was going to a new place, and as we move to Florida, soon, this year, he's also going to be going there. He's going to experience new things in his life, but he's still going, and he's still going to continue to move forward and walk forward. These priests, they had never crossed the Jordan before, but they were also going. So there's going to be people around us who, even when we move forward, they're going to be moving forward with us. They're going to be going to the new places with us. You think about as like you get a new job, maybe you're getting a new job in your life, and your family is gonna, obviously be with you on your destination and on your journey. Why? Because, they're a part of your life. Maybe you're going to college. And so these are experiences that other people are experiencing with you, because they're going with you and they're moving forward with you on these new journeys. Like my family got to, enjoy the time when I had, the time in college. They were able to experience some of the experiences with me as I went to school. I had never been to that new place. They had never seen me go off to school before in my life, but they were, like I was going, and we were going, and we were in that place, in that life. And when we move forward, other people are experiencing those same experiences with us. We're not alone. We're doing this walk with other people who are around us. Other people who have, never been on that experience with us before. It may have been other people in life. Joshua and Caleb had, spied out the land before, but they had never crossed the Jordan. They had never, made it to the promised land to dwell there, to stay there, to continue walking there. And so there's going to be other people around us walking with us as we go. For the Jordan overfloweth all his banks all the time of harvest. It says in verse 16 that the water which came down from above stood and rose up upon the heap very far from the city of Adam, that is beside Zartan, and those that came down towards the sea in the plain, even the salt sea failed, and were cut off, that the people passed over right against Jericho. And it says, and the priests that bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the midst of the Jordan. So the people who were moving forward, and though they had never been to that place in their life, they were standing firm. They were standing firm in the fact of knowing that this is where I'm going. In order to move forward and knowing that, hey, I've never been to this place, but I'm going. You have to stand firm in knowing, hey, I am going, and this is the place that I'm going. And, and in faith, they were able to stand there and look what God's doing. God is allowing me to do this. God is really allowing me to stand right here in the midst of a place where it was a river, where there was a sea, and I am standing in the middle of dry ground in a place where there was no path once, where there was no, hey, I don't think I could ever do this. I don't know if I could ever do this, but now there is a place, hey, I'm standing firm in this. I can do this. This is a place where I've never been able to go before, but I'm going here, and I'm going to make it to the end of the destination. I'm standing firm right here in the midst of dry ground, in a place where there was no open door, in a place where it never looked like I could do this before in my life. Here I am, and I am standing firm like, hello, I just parted the Red Sea. I just parted the Jordan. There was nothing to be parted here. But now there's an opportunity. Now there's a door. Now there's a way that I can go. And I'm standing here firm on this dry ground, in the midst of the Jordan. And it says, and all the Israelites passed on dry ground until the people were passed clean over the Jordan. And so what really stood out here is it says, and they passed clean over the Jordan. If we're going to make it to the other side, we are going to have to pass clean over, meaning we're just going to have to go all the way through, getting us to the place, basically getting us to the place and the point safely to where it is that God is going to get us. We're going to be clean over the Jordan, basically to the other side. We're going to be clearly over there to the next place and the next place. And once you're over there, just keep walking, keep moving forward, keep going, enjoy the destination which it is that you're going. Because at some point, like I said, once the GPS stops, it's going to be like, hey, you arrived to your destination. You made it safely. You're clean over to the place, to the path in which it is that you wanted to get to, and now you're here and enjoy that place. She's going to, my grandfather's wedding. My grandfather's getting married. Like here, enjoy the destination and where you're arriving to. You've never been there before. Like, enjoy the destination where you're going. Enjoy the new place in which it is that God is taking you in your life. You made it to the destination. Enjoy. Does it feel good to know that the place that you are going, you will be able to stand firm knowing this is the place for me? Who else in your journey will be experiencing this new place in their life as well? All right, guys. So the next thing you're going to have to make the decision on is whether you're going to make this a round trip or if you're going to make this a one-way trip. When God first told me to leave college and to take up my cross and follow Him, and to a place that He would show me, like I said in Genesis 12:1, where He told Abraham to get out of the country to a place where He would show him. He told me to go to California, and so I got a one-way ticket to California because I was going to follow God and I was not going to make the decision to ever go back to the place where I started from. So after California, I got a one-way ticket to Tennessee, and then God ended up telling me that He wanted me to move to Florida, and so I got a one-way ticket to Florida. The reason where I went wrong is I decided to make it a round trip. I decided to go back to the place where I originally started at because I did not believe God, and I decided to look backwards. And you think about the children of Israel in the book of Numbers. When you look at Numbers 13, how God had, the Lord had sent them back. In verse 30 of Numbers 14, it says, doubtless ye shall not come into the land concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, save Caleb and the son of Joshua and the son of Nun. The Lord shut up the place in which it was that they were going because they did not believe in the Lord. They decided to make it a round trip. They decided that they were going to sit there and dwell around and around and around and around and around and around and stay stuck in the wilderness because they did not believe God. And it says, but as for you and your carcasses, ye shall fall in this wilderness, and your children shall wander in the wilderness for 40 years, and bear your whoredom until the carcass be wasted in the wilderness. And so basically, after the number of days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise. So basically, God had given them 40 years in the wilderness because of their disbelief. And so we have to make sure that we don't make something that should just be a one-way ticket, a round ticket, and get stuck because we want to look backwards and we want to go back to the place where we once were, but we want to make sure that we make it a one way. So we're going to kind of look at Exodus 14 verses 26 through 27. It says, "And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Moses stretched forth the hand over the sea, when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it, and the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the hosts, and the Pharaohs came unto the sea after them, and they remained not so much as one of them. And the children of Israel walked upon the dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them, and on their right hand, on their left hand. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore." Basically, they made their journey a one-way ticket because Moses decided that he was going to do exactly as God instructed and close the door behind them so that they would no longer have to look back. Like in the beginning, it said right here, it said in the beginning, in verse 13, when we looked in Exodus 13, "And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever." And there he was closing the door to seeing the Egyptians no more. And that's exactly what he had told them in verse 13. And so that is exactly what was happening. And so we're going to kind of see that again in Joshua 4, verse 18. It says, "And it came to pass, when the priests that bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord were come out of the midst of the Jordan, and the soles of the priests' feet were lifted up unto the dry land, that the waters of the Jordan returned unto their place and flowed over the banks, and they did before, as they did before. And the people came out of the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month, and encamped in Gilgal, in the east border of Jericho." So now they had not once been this way before, but they were still going to go. They were still going, and so that's exactly what they did. They made their trip a one-way trip. They did not look back. They were not going to go back to being stuck in the wilderness, stuck in a place in your life. And you gotta, I think about my life right now, I don't want to go back to the place where I'm like, hey, I don't think I can do this for my life. No, I don't want to be stuck in the wilderness in my life. I want to move forward. I want to do the things in which it is that God wants, says that I can do for my life. He said to the children of Israel, here, Moses said to them in Exodus 13, go spy to the land. This is the place where God, basically giving them, God is giving you this place. You can do this. And because of their disbelief, they did not get to enter into the land. But you have to make sure that, this is what you want, a one-way ticket to moving forward. If not, we see plenty of people in life, they get stuck, they go around in circles, they do the same thing over and over and over again, and they never move forward. And so what we want to do is we want to move forward, we want to get a one-way ticket, and we don't want to look back. Close that door. When God says, hey, here, put the stick in the water and, allow the sea to close back over, allow it to close back over. Don't go back, but only move forward, get your one-way ticket. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All right, you guys, until we meet again, God bless. Peace. Are you buying a one-way ticket or a round-trip ticket? Are you full of doubt and disbelief or walking in faith?